Rose was a little girl who had a very hard life. She was born in the city of Tosa, but her mother died when Rose was still a baby because of complications during childbirth. Rose's father, Felix, remarried when she was 4 years old. His new wife, Corinne, looked kind and polite to the world, but she was cruel and unkind to Rose. Rose loved having a younger sister, Natasha, and she wanted to be a good big sister. She tried to help and care for her, but Corinne never let her get close to Natasha. Every day, Corinne reminded Rose that she had no mother and that she didn't belong. Rose cried many times and told her father, Felix, but he couldn't do anything. Corinne had taken control of the household, and Felix felt powerless. As the years passed, both girls grew into young women. Natasha lived a life of luxury. She ate fine food, wore beautiful clothes, and spent her days relaxing. Rose, however, worked all day without rest. She cleaned the large house, went to the market on foot to buy food for everyone, and had almost no time to rest. One day Rose came back from the market with very little food. Corinne had invited her rich friends for a big dinner. "Rose," Corinne shouted, "you will prepare a feast for 20 people with this, and if my friends are unhappy you will sleep outside tonight." Rose felt exhausted, but she worked hard. She cooked amazing dishes with almost nothing. The guests were impressed and praised Corinne for being such a good hostess. Corinne smiled, taking all the credit, and never mentioned Rose. That night, Rose overheard a conversation. Corinne was speaking to her sister Victoria. "Corinne," Victoria said quietly, "Rose is becoming too beautiful. Have you seen the way men look at her in the market? She might outshine you and Natasha." Corinne's eyes narrowed. "I've thought about that. I will make her work harder and keep her tired. If she looks exhausted and messy, no one will notice her." The next day, Corinne forced Rose to clean the gutters of their 3-story house, a dangerous task she had to do alone. Rose slipped and hurt her shoulder, but Corinne refused to take her to a doctor. "Clumsy girls get what they deserve," she said coldly. Felix became very worried and sad. The constant stress affected his health, and he soon passed away, leaving Rose completely alone. After Felix's death, a lawyer named Master Bernard came to the house. He revealed that Felix had secretly saved a small inheritance for Rose. This money was kept in a locked safe, and only Felix knew about it. Corinne was shocked that money will go to Natasha, she said sharply. "No, madam," said Master Bernard firmly. "The inheritance legally belongs to Rose when she turns 21, and one year Corinne was furious and hatched a cruel plan. She contacted her cousin Marcel, a dishonest man, and asked him to trick Rose into marrying him before she turned 21. That way, the inheritance would go to Natasha. Marcel agreed because he wanted a share of the money. He came to their house pretending to be a friend of the family. He tried to charm Rose with gifts and compliments, but Rose, who had suffered so much, was cautious. One night, Marcel tried to force her to go out with him. "You need a man to protect you," he said. But Rose escaped and locked herself in her room, crying as she realized that even in her own home, she wasn't safe. Meanwhile, far away, the heir of GP Company, the richest man in the country, was preparing to return home after studying abroad. Tradition said he had to choose a wife, and his assistant, John, selected 6 young women for this chance. Among them were Rose and Natasha. Corinne wanted Natasha to look perfect, so she spent a lot of money on skincare, luxury clothes, and even hired a professional etiquette coach. Rose, on the other hand, was given even more chores and allowed to shower only every 2 days so that she would appear tired and messy. Corinne locked her in the attic for 3 days, giving her only bread and water. But there was someone watching, Deborah, a kind woman who was actually Rose's aunt. She had been secretly protecting Rose for years. Deborah was shocked by Corinne's cruelty and warned her to stop. "No," Corinne said coldly, "Rose will never reach Natasha's level." Deborah ignored her. She went to Rose's room, encouraged her, and promised that Rose would have a brighter future. Terrified of Deborah's threats, Corinne finally let Rose go to the penthouse for the selection. Rose bathed, changed into some clothes given by Deborah, and left for the penthouse, finally escaping her oppressive home. At the penthouse, Rose knocked nervously at the doors. A security guard opened it and asked her to wait. The billionaire's heir had allowed her entry. She felt relief and silently thanked God For the first time in years, Rose could breathe freely. Rose had finally arrived at the penthouse. For the first time in her life, she felt safe, even if only for a little while. The penthouse was huge and filled with beautiful decorations, chandeliers, and expensive furniture. She was amazed but stayed humble. Rose's main goal wasn't to win anyone's attention. She just wanted to live safely and honestly, away from Kareen's cruelty. The 6 young women chosen for the heir's attention were introduced to the staff. Rose was paired with Zoe, a kind and gentle girl, while Natasha strutted around arrogantly, acting like the future mistress of the penthouse. Fatima exaggerated her modest background, Zian lied about her achievements, and Celine flirted with the male staff openly. Rose, however, introduced herself simply and sincerely, earning a quiet respect from the staff. The billionaire, father of the heir, had secretly installed cameras in the penthouse. He wanted to see each girl's true character. At first, everyone behaved politely, but by the second week, the real personalities started to appear. Rose woke up before dawn every morning. She helped prepare breakfast, cleaned shared spaces, and even assisted the kitchen staff. She worked silently, always polite, and never complained. Everyone noticed her diligence, though Natasha became jealous. "Why does everyone like her?" Natasha whispered to herself. "She's just a servant girl." Determined to win, Natasha began plotting against Rose. She spread rumors claiming Rose was stealing food and that she was secretly a maid pretending to be a contestant. Rose ignored her, focusing on her tasks and avoiding trouble. One day, Natasha took it further. She hid expensive jewelry under Rose's mattress and then discovered it missing, accusing Rose of theft. The staff started searching and, for a moment, it seemed Rose would be blamed. But Joe, the security guard, had secretly seen everything through the cameras. He quietly intervened and cleared Rose of all suspicion, calling it a misunderstanding. Despite all the tension, Rose stayed humble and kind. She even helped the staff in the kitchen, preparing meals and keeping everything organized. Her talent in cooking became apparent. The head chef, Henry, was impressed by her skill and natural elegance. Meanwhile, Kareen and Natasha tried another plan. They secretly obtained a love potion from a witch in Tosa, Madame Mystique. Natasha used it on the heir, and immediately he became enchanted, obsessed only with Natasha and blind to everyone else, including Rose. The potion created tension among the girls. Fatima, Zoe, and others became agitated and jealous. But Rose stayed focused, not wanting to compete unfairly or cause trouble. Under the influence of the potion, the heir gave Natasha special treatment. She demanded that her room be redecorated, expensive meals be prepared just for her, and that Rose serve her personally. Rose quietly obeyed but kept her dignity. During this time, she confided in Joe, telling him about her hardships, her stepmother, and the cruel cousin. Joe listened carefully, touched by her honesty and resilience. He reassured her, "You're a strong and special girl. If I were rich, I would marry you right now." Rose smiled softly. "I don't care about wealth. If you asked me to marry you, I would. Together we could work, save, and build a life." Meanwhile, Natasha's jealousy and anger grew. She tried to manipulate the other girls, creating fights and chaos. Zoe and Diane avoided her traps, staying calm and wise. But Diane, pushed to the limit, reacted angrily, and the heir, still under the spell, demanded her expulsion immediately. Only 2 days remained before the final ceremony where the heir would officially choose his bride. Rose, who had kept herself humble, talented, and kind, now prepared for her role in the final test. She asked Joe one last time, "Please, can you ask the billionaire to hire me as a permanent staff member? I don't want to go home. My stepmother will destroy me. Even if Natasha wins, I want to work honestly here." Joe, deeply moved, promised Rose, "I will do everything to protect you. You deserve so much more than the suffering you've endured." The tension in the penthouse had reached its peak. Natasha felt confident, believing her spell had won the heart of the heir, while Rose quietly prepared herself, not knowing the surprises that awaited her. The day of the final ceremony finally arrived. The penthouse was decorated like a palace. The city of Tosa was watching. Everyone knew this was the day the heir of GP Company would choose his bride. Rose was nervous but calm. She wore a simple but beautiful dress given by Deborah. It wasn't fancy, but it showed her natural beauty. Her heart was full of hope and prayer. All the girls lined up. Zoe looked elegant and kind. Natasha wore her scarlet dress, full of confidence, expecting the heir to choose her. Fatima was anxious, and the others were tense. Rose didn't care about the competition anymore. She just wanted to do her best and stay true to herself. The billionaire, the father of the heir, stepped forward. "Welcome, citizens of Tosa," he announced. 6 exceptional young women were selected for this competition. 3 have been eliminated, and today, we will see the final choice. Tradition demands the heir chooses his bride in front of everyone. The crowd applauded loudly. Rose felt butterflies in her stomach but stayed composed. Then, the billionaire made a shocking announcement. "Let me introduce you to the true heir of GP Company, Joe." Everyone gasped. The young man who had been working as a security guard was actually the heir. The crowd murmured in surprise. Natasha's face turned pale. She had spent weeks trying to seduce a man she thought was the heir, but the real heir had been right in front of her the whole time. Joe stepped forward, smiling gently. He looked at Rose. "This is the girl who has shown kindness, courage, and a pure heart," he said. Rose couldn't believe her ears. Tears filled her eyes. She had dreamed of escaping her cruel stepmother and stepsister, but never imagined such a miracle. The billionaire explained, "My plan was to test the true character of these girls. Only one person showed patience, humility, and honesty. That girl is Rose." Rose stepped forward slowly, her heart pounding. She looked at Natasha and Karine, who were humiliated and speechless. The crowd could see their cruelty and deceit. They had tried to manipulate the situation, but justice had prevailed. Joe offered his hand to Rose. "Will you share your life with me?" he asked gently. "Yes," Rose whispered, overcome with joy. "Yes, I will." The billionaire smiled proudly. "Let this be a lesson. True character is more valuable than wealth, beauty, or lies. And kindness and perseverance will always win in the end." Natasha fainted from shock, and Karine could barely move. All their schemes had failed. Even the fake suitor Natasha had seduced revealed he was just an actor, part of the billionaire's plan. The crowd laughed and whispered as the truth became clear. Rose's life had changed forever. She married Joe in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by the people of Tosa and those who had supported her. Deborah finally revealed herself as Rose's aunt and guardian. She had watched over Rose secretly. "All these years your mother would be so proud," Deborah said, tears of joy streaming down her face. Rose became the lady of GP Company but never forgot her roots. She used her position to help orphans, support young girls in difficult situations, and give them opportunities she had never had. She and Joe had children, raising them with love, humility, and kindness, teaching them that honesty and goodness were the most valuable treasures. Marcel, Karine's cousin, was arrested for trying to steal Rose's inheritance. Natasha, alone and disgraced, had to face the consequences of her selfish actions. Karine spent her last years in regret, realizing too late that cruelty destroys both the victim and the wrongdoer. Rose's story became a legend in Tosa. People said it was proof that no matter how dark life becomes, kindness, patience, and courage can change your destiny. Even in the hardest times, the right path will shine through. Rose looked around at the penthouse, her children playing, and Joe by her side. She whispered a prayer of gratitude. "Thank you, Lord, for guiding me through all my struggles. Thank you for giving me a life of love, hope, and happiness. May I always use my blessings to help others." Her story became an inspiration for generations, a tale of an orphan who endured cruelty, stayed kind, and finally found happiness and purpose.